Welcome to The Abundance Journey, the show that helps spiritual entrepreneurs create an abundance mindset that accelerates revenue. Here's your host, the Abundance Ambassador, Elaine Starling.
Have you ever been so happy, so excited, so delighted about your life, and you really want to celebrate with somebody, and you're sharing what's going on with you, and they push back and they're like, oh, you are such a Pollyanna. Have you ever heard of toxic positivity? That's like a sucker punch to the gut, because you're working hard to maintain that high level of consciousness. And when somebody else isn't feeling it, your positivity can really feel toxic to them. So what we're going to look at today is what's going on under the surface when your positivity can feel toxic to somebody else or to you, and what it reveals about the spiritual and neurological state that's contributing to that, and then how you can best respond while staying at that high consciousness, positive, compassionate level so you maintain alliance with your values and your spiritual alignment, and at the same time you take conscious action to support someone else. And sometimes it's to support yourself, because we go there, we do. It's called being human. Okay, so we're going to do two things to unite our energy. So yours, mine, with the God of your understanding. And as we do that, that integration, that alignment empowers us to have a remarkable experience. We're going to do two things to really bring our energy together. First, we're going to take 3 long, slow, deep breaths together. And as we breathe in through the nose, think the words, I am. And as we breathe out through the mouth, think the word consciousness. Then when we're done with the breaths, I'm going to share an intention with you. I'm pointing at my heart when I say intention. An intention is what we choose to create in alignment with the divine, with the God of your understanding, and how we choose to feel about it. And making that clear empowers the divine to support us and guide us so that we realize that intention. Now, we're going to hold the intention in silence for 78 seconds. That can be a little intimidating and challenging because human beings have different ideas going on all the time. We're easily distracted. So I find there are 2 things that really help me hold the course and hold that higher vibration for 78 seconds. The first thing to do is to pick 2 or 3 words out of the intention that just feel really good to you. They feel exciting and uplifting and empowering, and this is the kind of vibration you choose to have. So repeat those 2 or 3 words over and over again in your mind for the 78 seconds. And at the same time, notice what's happening to your body, because you may get some physical sensations like a rush of heat, or you may feel an expansion. You might sense an angel peeking over your shoulder and giving you a kiss on the cheek. Anything that you feel, that you sense in your body is just the divine kind of giving you a thumbs up. It's like, we got it. We're all lined up and we're ready to go. So it's a really good sign. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be discomfort in one area of your body that you notice. Perfect. We're ready to go. And that discomfort is going to dissipate very quickly. So let's get started with our 3 long, slow, deep breaths. Breathe in, I am. Breathe out, consciousness. Breathe in, I am. Breathe out, consciousness. Breathe in, I am. Breathe out, consciousness. And as we rest in this beautiful space, in love and light, we hold the intention that we compassionately support people where they are, ourselves included, so we all quickly experience higher consciousness, well being, inner peace, and a deep gratitude and love for life. Thank you, Divine. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is done. We give thanks, and so it is. Wow, that was intense. I don't know what came through for you, but I felt this deep, deep well of inner peace, just such connection with infinite intelligence and all that is. And I kept seeing hearts raining down. And ultimately, it turned into a tsunami of love. And normally we have kind of a negative association with a tsunami, but this was radically different. This was just unconditional love and a deep gratitude and appreciation that we are continually striving to embody higher consciousness over and over. We keep reminding ourselves, recommitting, and just that determination, that clarity that this is what we are choosing to be in every moment. It makes a big difference to the divine. And I just felt that so much. And, I really have a benchmark to go against because during my stroke, I felt like Niagara Falls of love, this amazing, all encompassing, unconditional love. It was so beautiful. And I want everyone on the planet to have that as kind of like their baseline every day. They wake up and that's what they feel like, right? We're not there yet. We're working on it. And it's really interesting. I'm reading a fascinating book that's called Spiritual Intelligence by Dawson Church. Brilliant book. Highly recommend that you get it. And Dawson talks about the challenge that people have, especially folks who are used to looking at the problems in their life and talking about their problems and thinking about their problems. It's interesting because the brain actually creates stronger neural pathways based on what you think about. And it produces chemicals in the brain to reward you when you develop a lot of pathways that are strong. So the challenge is if you're used to thinking about your problems a lot, you create cortisol. It's the body's stress chemical. And the brain actually becomes addicted to anxiety. Yeah, addicted to anxiety. Complaining activates really familiar neural pathways. So it's not just a bad habit, it's actually a comfort zone. For many people, a sense of peace or joy feels unsafe because they don't match that internal state. That is so foreign to them. They're in such a state of fear and doubt. No matter what you say that's positive, they're going to respond with fear and doubt because that's what they know. That's where they live. That's who they are. Literally, their brains are structured to facilitate that kind of response. Now, what I love about this book, Spiritual Intelligence, Dawson Church has done all kinds of research based on MRI studies, scientific research looking at the nanobiology of our brains. And it turns out that when people meditate, especially regular meditation, they change their brains very quickly. You are rewired for peace and prosperity because your brain circuits kind of quiet the negative circuits that are so structured to focus on fight, flight, or freeze, right? And instead, the brain circuits that focus on peace and joy and love are activated, and you feel a sense of inner calm, and you're able to focus, and you're much more productive and much more effective. So he has an amazing meditation, a guided meditation you can find for free on YouTube. It's called ECO Meditation, ECO Meditation. And I'll make sure that the link is in the show notes. So it's interesting because I have a model that I use called the spiritual belief spiral. And what happens is we have a ratio of limiting beliefs to empowering beliefs. And if we've got a lot of limiting beliefs, not a whole lot of empowering beliefs, we tend to be at the lower rungs of this spiritual belief spiral. We get stuck in fear, shame, and resentment with a sensation that life is happening to me. And that feels really tough. It's challenging to be there. We're going to talk about how to support people who are struggling in that area in just a moment. Now, the mid-level, where you're getting kind of to an equilibrium between limiting beliefs and empowering beliefs, you get into a state of more acceptance and curiosity. You witness how life happens through you, and so you lean in because you're curious. It's kind of like, oh, there's a cause and effect thing going on here. I wonder which buttons I can push to shift how things are working. I wonder how that meditation thing could work for me, right? You start to explore tools, techniques that can really empower your life. So you're leaning into life. Now, the upper rungs of the spiritual belief spiral, this is where your empowering beliefs significantly outweigh your limiting beliefs. We're human beings. We are wired to notice things that could be dangerous. So you are never going to completely get away from limiting beliefs in physical form. That's my belief. Could be totally different. Your belief. My belief is we still have a little bit of limiting beliefs, but most of it can be empowering beliefs. When we get to that space, we live in gratitude, in love, in unity with each other. And we truly feel like life happens as me. I'm in that stage right now. Life happens as me. And guess what? When life happens as me, I accept all situations, all conditions. However someone feels in this moment, wherever they are right now, it is my honor, my privilege to support someone. When they're anchored deeply in fear or pain and they just can't metabolize yet, that's when your happiness can feel really toxic to them. It's not because you are toxic. You aren't. It's because they just can't regulate that level of joy internally. You're a mismatch for their nervous system. So, I'm not telling you to use fake smiles or dismiss how they feel. Don't immediately try to flip the funnel. And I confess, I've been guilty of this in the past because I live in such a state of joy and happiness and delight and wonder. I used to be like that. And it's so hard for me to go there again because that's not my experience anymore. And there are new ways that I can connect with people and relate with people that serve them. Because true positivity is rooted in spiritual maturity and compassion, not bypassing, not denying them how they feel, because what they feel is very real. That is their experience. And they will experience that spiritual optimism as a threat to their survival. It's that bad. And that's why it feels toxic. They've built an entire identity and connection around pain. And when you don't mirror their pain back, you become someone who is unsafe. They don't know how to handle you. So let's talk about some bridges that can go beyond this. Now, the very first thing to do is make sure that you're focusing on your own consciousness, on your own consciousness. You can't change someone else just because it feels good to you. They have to be willing to accept the transition. And I got to tell you, the bridge is meditation, as far as I'm concerned. Meditation is not just a nice to have. All the research is showing that it is a tool that chemically changes your brain. Fascinating study in the second chapter of Spiritual Intelligence, where they did a lot of research with people who had early symptoms of Alzheimer's. And one of the assignments was meditation. There were a few other things they were doing too, but meditation. And within 2 months of doing this every day, they reversed the symptoms of Alzheimer's and came back to the pre-Alzheimer's because they had grown areas in their brain so significantly that the negative stuff shut down and the confusion shut down. Clarity was back. It's that powerful. It's that amazing. And that connection with the divine, making sure that you're in alignment with the God of your understanding, is incredible. Just 10 minutes of meditation lowers your cortisol and increases serotonin. It's how we shift our states and not just our thoughts. This is how you can return to your true identity. You are higher consciousness embodied in a physical body. So, what are we going to do? I'll make sure that Dawson Church's Eco Meditation link is available for you. In fact, I am making a commitment that I'm going to do his meditation every day for 1,000 days in a row, because I love that it will completely rewire my brain, expanding those portions that empower my spiritual connection. I want to make sure that I have the best alignment with the divine possible. So I am committed to doing that. Now, when you're in a situation where someone just isn't feeling it, and here you are all la la la, happy, happy, joy, joy, and they are not, right? It's time to validate their pain without agreeing to their story. That's the first step. Instead of rushing in with, it's all happening for a reason, which they can't receive yet, you can say, wow, that sounds incredibly painful. I can hear how hard that's been. Anybody would feel the way you do, given what you've been through. That validation calms their nervous system. Once they feel seen, the door to transformation starts to crack open. The second thing to do is mirror their emotions, but not their narrative. You don't have to co-sign the blame, but you can reflect the emotion that's behind it. It sounds like, here's kind of an example. It sounds like you've been carrying a lot of frustration around this. I can hear just how betrayed you feel. That kind of deep listening dissolves resistance a lot more than some upbeat quote, right? We have to meet them where they are and help them see that we get it. We understand where they are. We may have been there before in other situations, but we're completely focused on them and their situation. We're not offering advice. We're not teaching, but we get into curious, non-threatening questions that plant seeds of empowerment. That's the third step. Gently ask expansive questions. Sounds like this. What do you most wish had gone differently? What do you need most right now? What would support feel like for you in this moment? That softens the edge of blame. It helps awaken self-awareness without any confrontation. So step 4 is to be the embodiment and not the explanation. Don't go into a whole, like my 5 steps, right? Don't do that. No, be the embodiment. Blame energy really doesn't respond well to verbal correction. It responds to regulated presence. This is where you stay grounded. You stay kind. You stay open. You are a safe space for them to feel their truth. That level of safety that you offer gives them stability, a stable space where they can try to approach this in a slightly different way. Later in the conversation, maybe even in a follow-up on a different day, you can offer an invitation, not a fix. Okay. Like, for example, you might offer, when you're ready, I've been doing this meditation and I love it. I found that it's really helped me when I'm stressed out. And I'd love to sit in meditation with you. It's guided. We can listen to it and do it together. No pressure, but I think it'd be really fun. It's helped me feel less overwhelmed. And I'd be honored to share it with you if you're open to it. Bottom line, anybody who is towards the bottom of that spiritual growth cycle, that's spiritual growth spiral, you have an opportunity to recommit to higher consciousness by meeting them with reverence, not trying to repair them. You're not rescuing them. You're resonating with their humanity. That's the first step towards rising. The very first step towards rising. Now, someone who's kind of in the middle part of the spiral, they've got a kind of even balance of limiting beliefs and empowering beliefs. You respond a little bit differently because when someone's in that area, they kind of wobble back and forth. They're like weebles. They wobble, but they don't fall down. They start to explore possibility, and then they fall back into doubt a little bit, and then it's possibility, and then it's doubt a little bit. And so there's a different way that you can connect with them to empower them. The first thing to do is to celebrate the spark, not the outcome. So they might share a small breakthrough or a shift, like, yeah, I realized I don't have to stay stuck in that job. Or I'm starting to wonder what else might be possible. Don't jump in with strategy. Just reflect their experience and affirm what they are feeling. Say something like, wow, that's a powerful realization. I love how you're listening to your own truth. Your awareness is deepening and it's so beautiful to witness. Let them feel seen in their expansion, not make them feeling pressured to act on it perfectly. That's not what it's all about. This is a beautiful, gradual unfolding. And each part of that expansion, that growth process is beautiful. We get to savor that as we witness it. So that's step one. Step two is to normalize the backslide. Let them know it's very natural to wobble. This part of the journey is a lot like learning how to walk again. Sometimes you're running hard and sometimes you trip. Both are a part of the process. Now, if they tend to regress back into doubt or default patterns, don't rescue them. Don't call it out. Just gently guide them back. What helped you feel so clear the other day when we had that other conversation? What does your empowered self know about this moment? This helps them reconnect with their own inner wisdom. They're not depending on your wisdom. They are empowered to access their own wisdom. That is when you are truly coming from compassion. Now, the third step is to model possibility without pushing it on them. So they're exploring new beliefs. You might want to invite them to play with some concepts like, what if this next step doesn't have to be perfect? What it needs to be aligned with your values, aligned with the God of your understanding. What if you looked at this situation and maybe it's working out for you even better than it looks like it is right now? What might that be? What could be going on there? So you're speaking possibility into the space and kind of prompting some brainstorming, a new perspective shift, but it's still them getting to have the exploration. You're sparking that exploration. That's a really powerful thing. The fourth thing is to anchor them in with gentle practices. You want to offer some low pressure, repeatable practices that help them stay rooted. Like for me, The thing I always do is, hey, let's sync up our breath with the 3 deep breaths, sync up our energy. And as we breathe in through the nose, we think the words I am. As we breathe out through the mouth, think the word consciousness. Let's do that together. Let's sync up our energy. It's so easy to do. It feels amazing. And it really helps us anchor in that space. There's some other things you could do. You can ask them if they want to journal and suggest a couple of journaling prompts that have really worked for you. Or turn them on to eco meditation and offer to give them the link. All of those ideas give them agency. They have total control. You're reminding them that they are capable, they are resourceful. So you are supporting them without overwhelming them. You're empowering them to remember who they are. Step 5 is to reflect their growth, because sometimes people are in that empowerment stage, kind of in the middle zone. They don't realize just how far they've come, right? You think, oh my gosh, we still have to go another big, huge amount up that mountain. I'm nowhere near where I want to be yet. Yeah, but look at how far you've come. You can say something like, I've noticed how big a shift you've had. A few weeks ago, you would have handled this so differently. You would have been really buried in this. And now look at how awesome this is for you. You're viewing this as a growth opportunity. I'm really in awe of how much more present and powerful you're becoming. That kind of reflection helps solidify their new identity. You want to be their mirror, not their motivator. Let them feel safe to rise and fall without judgment. It's a sine wave. Growth is a sine wave. You go up and then you go down into the trough, and then you go way up to the top and you go way down the trough. And when we're down in the trough, we're like, oh no, but it's part of the process. Frankly, that rise and fall builds resilience, so that ultimately the up and down is really tiny. You're aligned much more often, much more easily, and for much longer stretches of time. It is amazing what can happen when you're willing to stop trying to fix other people. You hold your frequency of higher consciousness no matter what, and your compassion completely replaces their defensiveness. You're not here to drag people up the spiral to higher consciousness. You're here to embody the energy that makes consciousness magnetic. So invite them to meditate with you. Invite them to explore their own stage on this spiral of growth, this spiral of belief. Invite them to begin again, not by force, just by remembering who they are. And what a blessing they are. Stick around, because we're going to activate abundance in just a minute. Wow. This was something I really needed to hear. It's so interesting. The divine guides me in such fun ways. They brought to me the idea of toxic positivity, because I've had a few people kind of push back and say, man, you're always so over the top. They don't like that. So step 1 is I'm super grateful for all these divine downloads that I receive, the guidance I receive, the incredible tools that are all around us. We don't have to stay there anymore. We don't have to stay at the bottom of the spiral or the bottom of the sine wave. We can bounce back up faster than ever before, and there are great tools that can help us get there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Step 2 is to acknowledge something you heard that was kind of an aha for you. And what really came through loud and clear for me is every time I feel like someone's resisting or pushing back from what I'm saying, I don't have to push harder, which is what I've been doing in the past. I don't have to push harder to maintain my level of consciousness, damn it. No, instead, I can step into compassionate curiosity. I've talked about grateful curiosity. What about compassionate curiosity? It maintains my level of consciousness and it shifts my focus from really trying to maintain my thoughts and I'm present for me so that now I can be present for someone else. Compassionate curiosity empowers me to maintain higher consciousness and be present for someone else wherever they are, at whatever level of consciousness they're at, whatever discomfort they're dealing with, whatever distraction is causing them to feel like they're at the bottom of the sine wave. So that's what I'm acknowledging. Step 3 is to appreciate the difference it can make in your life. I don't have to hold on so tightly to my consciousness and feeling like I'm coming from higher consciousness. When I'm celebrating something that I learned, something that I discovered that I'm finding incredibly rewarding, and somebody else is casting doubt because they don't get it and they don't believe it and they're not there yet, I don't have to defend my turf. Now, compassionate curiosity reminds me to ask supportive and empowering questions, to honor them where they are, because where they are is legit. It's real for them. And their reality is something that deserves recognition. I don't have to go there with them. And that's the mistake that I think I've made in the past. If I acknowledge their emotions, does that mean I have to now feel that emotion? No, it doesn't, because I'm in compassionate curiosity. I'm witnessing them. I'm witnessing where they are and offering a safe space to support them so that when they are ready, they get to remember that incredible divine spark of higher consciousness that they truly are, on their terms at their time. So that's step 3. Step 4 is to activate this practice. And I've identified 3 different ways. The first way is schedule time to get it done. Now, this is a little bit different, but it's important for me to journal about it because sometimes I only realize after the fact, it's like, oops, I could have used some compassionate consciousness and I didn't. I pushed back the way I used to do it. Oopsie. And so journaling helps me get a little more present to those times when I'm not being as conscious as I could. And then I'll know next time that I can come from compassionate curiosity, compassionate curiosity. So the second way to activate abundance is create a physical trigger, like crossing your fingers or tugging on your earlobe. And I tell you, these earlobes got a big workout. There's so many things that I am activating in my system. And I tend to focus on something for about a 3-month period so that I really anchor it in and it becomes a habit. And then I can use that same technique for another habit I'm choosing to adopt. And honestly, compassionate curiosity is something I am really committed to. It was so funny because just today, I've had a few conversations where I felt like, man, I'm getting to recommit to consciousness over and over again. Darn it. And, yeah, but the fastest way to recommit to higher consciousness is to step into compassionate curiosity. Hello. So now I know. So now I've got this awesome tool that will make a massive difference in my life. The third option to activate abundance is to declare what you're doing and leverage the power of an accountability buddy, an abundance buddy. So they can help you when they're noticing that you're resisting and you're pushing back with something that they're saying. It's like, are we going to adopt compassionate curiosity right now? Hello? Anybody home? Yeah, I need that because sometimes I get caught up in the moment, right? And I'm so in the zone with what I'm doing and where I'm going that I'm kind of oblivious to what's going on. And so a reminder from a trusted friend really makes a difference. Step 5, celebrate your progress. This is a joyous unfolding of who you are and how you are, how you experience your life, and all the incredible wonders it contains. You are such a massive blessing, and we are really fortunate that you're on the planet right now. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you next time for the Abundance Journey.
You've been listening to the Abundance Journey Show with Elaine Starling. Visit theabundancejourney.com/podcast gifts to access today's gift, as well as gifts from our other guests. Tune in every week to activate abundance in your life and business. If something resonated with you, please share it with your friends so they can benefit too. Keep activating abundance, and we'll see you in the next episode.